Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me, and a huge thank you to Kelly for tossing my name into the ring. I really appreciate it, and I am super excited to talk about Instagram hashtag strategy today. A little bit about me. Oh, Nikki, it's okay to start presenting now? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everybody in just a moment. But before I start doing that, so a little bit about me. My name is Sarah Potter. And in 2015, I left my desk job, mic drop style. And by that, I mean, I had been working for a really huge jerk and who was focusing on producing inflated results and fake numbers to customers with the idea that it would bring in more money. So I decided that I was going to leave, and I never looked back. At that time, I was a single mom to a child with autism. I had $0 in savings, and I was living in a one-bedroom apartment where I slept on my couch, which was a sleeper sofa, and I had a ton of grit. When I first started working in the social media industry, I had no clue as to what I was doing. And I really looked at people like Kelly and Nikki Pezipane and Vincent Orlick to really surround myself with mentors and people who were filled with knowledge about the industry, its practices, and subscribe to as many experts as possible. There was only a problem though. A lot of them, if not all of them, had the same message with the same tactics and the same solution. And I found it incredibly irritating. So let's talk about a little bit of how I taught myself, and then we'll go into all of the hashtag Instagram strategy. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with all of you. Thanks for your patience. One thing real quick as we're opening this up, I love Canva, and Canva is a great presentation tool. All right, so let's talk Instagram hashtag strategy. A little bit about my marketing background for all of you. I have 10 years of experience in the marketing world. I am a self-taught social media marketer. I went to ASU, not for marketing, and came with 5 minors and a bachelor's degree. I am an abuse survivor, an ex-single mom. I am now married with a child, with my son and a stepdaughter, and I am a financial literacy advocate. So when I had begun working within the social media world, I had tried all these tactics and tools and what I thought were promising solutions to my problems as a business and a marketer. None of what I had been doing was producing results for me for the businesses I was working with. So I dug deeper to understand what was driving the success of some of these more prominent companies and entrepreneurs. After taking every single online course that I possibly could, free or paid, and reading every inch of marketing copy, Instagram expertise, and dissecting as many how-tos as possible, I came to the conclusion that I wanted to start teaching people about some of the strategies that aren't really talked about. If you notice, there are a lot of people online who talk about who they are as opposed to what they're doing and how to get there. So we're going to dive directly into hashtags now and talk about why you should be using hashtags. There are a lot of businesses I've come into contact with over the past couple of years who are really great businesses and have a social media presence, but they don't believe in using hashtags. They think they're trashy looking or that they're just not worth it. And honestly, I think that people are missing out on a really huge opportunity. So hashtags are what make your Instagram content discoverable. You probably spend a lot of time writing your content or creating the perfect hook or tone and putting a lot of heart behind your post, in addition to spending a lot of time to take that perfect Instagram photo. You don't want all of that Instagram effort to be lost in the Instagram feed because you're not using hashtags, right? So users basically discover your content by sharing hashtags on their own via the Discover feed on desktop or mobile. They also use hashtags and find you through hashtags that other people they like are using as well. So there are a lot of ways that you can, utilize hashtags, and this is especially important when it comes to creating engagement through your audience and finding people within your audience that are actually going to engage with your content, as opposed to, at least for me, some back in the day, my mom and my friends. And another great thing as to why you should use hashtags is it's easy to identify industry trends. I love being able to do all of my competitor research through Instagram. And right now I am planning my wedding ceremony and reception strictly through Instagram by finding people through hashtags. A post with just one hashtag receives 12.6% more engagement. That is a lot of engagement. I mean, 12.6% in the grand scheme of 100% doesn't feel like a lot, but when you're going from maybe 10 or 12 likes per post to maybe 100 or more likes per post, that 12.6% engagement is where that comes in. It's a really great opportunity. So let's talk about the types of hashtags. There are 3 types of hashtags that you need to be able to identify when it comes to creating and identifying a holistic strategy. Those 3 are community-centric, branded hashtags, and campaign hashtags. Campaign hashtags have a shelf life of fewer than 3 months and sometimes longer depending on the kind of campaign that you've created and that you're setting up. Let's say, for example, the opt-outside hashtag that was used during Super Bowl probably 2 years ago, I believe. That hashtag has a shelf life of probably forever because it was so well branded for their opt-outside campaign that people began using it to literally opt outside and encourage people to disconnect from the digital world. So when you focus on, when you want to have a campaign hashtag, the thing that you need to focus on is that your campaign hashtags need to be centered on your product launches, special events, or special partnerships. So if you're an influencer or you're looking to become an influencer, making sure that you have hashtags that are specific to the campaign with the person that you're partnering with is super important, and it will help your post become more discoverable by utilizing that campaign hashtag. When you're creating a new product, event, or partnership, the best way to construct a hashtag is to really think about the user. How easy is this hashtag going to be to spell? That's a big thing. If you're going to have a huge, long, complicated hashtag, make sure that it's easy for everybody to spell. So often do I see people utilizing campaign hashtags that are really long or that are kind of complicated to spell, and then they get misspelled, and then they don't get entered into that campaign's hashtag pool. How many brands are using this hashtag? There are millions of hashtags being used every single day, and it's super important for you to make sure that you are taking this hashtag for your campaign and having it be just for your campaign, not for everyone else who might be doing the same thing. Also, does it speak to what your campaign is about? Or does it speak to your company's culture? Making sure that your campaign hashtag relates and is the hashtag is easy to understand when it comes to whatever you're promoting is going to be a key in developing that campaign hashtag. Branded hashtags. Now, this is a really fun thing that companies can start diving into. Branded hashtags can be as simple as your company name, a tagline, or the name of one of your products or your campaigns. Your branded hashtags can have nothing to do with your brand too, and it can have everything to do with your brand identity. This is something that I really like to focus on and tend to focus on with my students when it comes to creating their brand culture or their brand for Instagram. Culture is super important to audiences these days, and if your hashtag is culture focused, it is more likely to be used by those you are targeting. Branded hashtags are also designed to connect themes for your audience, and they can be used to promote a campaign or collect user-generated content. Now, one of my favorite examples is Evereve Official. They're a really wonderful women's branded clothing line, and they also incorporate other brands into their clothing choices. They have specific hashtags that they use to target women, and they're also using those hashtags to gather their user content. So they have a brand affiliate campaign going on right now with every single one of their 85 stores. Each store has their own little affiliate or their own influencer that's working with them directly. They come in, they purchase clothes, they try on clothes, they take pictures, they post it on their Instagram, and they use that hashtag. And then Evereve Official is able to go through that hashtag and select the photos it wants to promote on its own feed. This is both beneficial to the brand and beneficial to the person using the hashtag, because if they do end up getting featured, then that'll help boost all of their fellowship, as well as the engagement surrounding that post. The next one is community hashtags. Now, there's a lot when it comes to community hashtags, and according to later.com, there are a total of 9 different types of community-based hashtags. These kinds of hashtags are meant to be engaged with when it comes to focusing on like-minded people surrounding a niche or a specific subject. So let's talk about the types of community hashtags that are out there in the world. These hashtags are going to be focused on product or service. A good example of those would be hashtag Good American Denim, which is a brand and a product that Good American sells. Or you can focus on your service, which might be Instagram tips. So if you're an Instagram expert or any kind of social media platform expert, using a hashtag that relates directly to what it is you are selling and what your services are will really help put the nail in the head as to what it is that you're trying to talk about. There are also industry niche-based community hashtags. These would be wedding cake baker or social media marketing, whatever your niche is. And even with social media marketing, you can niche down even more so that you are more specific and Instagram sees it or Twitter sees that you're being more specific and people can find you through that hashtag. There are also industry communities. So if you are within I was really into cake when I made this presentation, so there might be a lot of baking related hashtags. Anyway, if you are in an industry community, you might want to be using Bakers of Instagram, or if you are trying to be a model, Models of Instagram is a really popular one, although I would suggest niching down a lot more when focusing on your modeling career on Instagram. There's also Dads of Instagram, or my favorite, Dilfs of Disneyland, I think is what it is. Yeah, hashtag Dilfs of Disneyland. It is a very amusing hashtag. The next kind are going to be ones that are relevant to you. If you are someone who, again, is an Instagram expert, make it specific to who you are or who your brand is when it comes to using and creating those hashtags. There's also a lot of acronym-based hashtags, like Quote of the Day is one that is used so much, and Outfit of the Day is also used. And there's also emoji hashtags. If you've ever seen a hashtag pull up whenever you're typing one in on Instagram, you'll probably see that it'll say hashtag QOTD with maybe a little emoji next to it. Sometimes those hashtags are a little more niche and don't have as big of an audience. So if you have a hashtag that has a ton of different audience members, it's really key to make sure that you are finding one that is not filled with 6 million people and is maybe filled with 100,000. Maybe a little bit more so that you can really gain visibility from that hashtag. There are also hashtags as it relates to special events or seasons. National Donut Day is probably one of my favorite, and it is a really great campaign that Dunkin' Donuts really jumped on the bandwagon with and has a great way of helping people or bringing people together when it comes to promoting Dunkin' Donuts or any other popular donut company. International Women's Day is also a really great hashtag. I'm not a huge fan of how long the hashtag is, but it is very utilized, and there are other variations of that hashtag that you can use as well to help bring your post into a bigger or into a smaller niche. There are also geographical based hashtags. These are ones that I suggest using at least 5 of within every single post that you're making. And with New York City events or Made in LA or Chicago Pizza, you're going to see a lot of people using those hashtags. So look for related hashtags when it comes to popular geographical ones, especially in places like New York, LA, and Chicago. Another thing, and the last one is daily hashtags. daily hashtags like hashtag Monday motivation, hashtag flashback Friday, or hashtag throwback Thursday. Those are really popular daily hashtags, and there are a ton of different ones out there. In order to find a daily hashtag that might work for you, or you can create one to promote your brand, all you need to do is go into the Discover feed on desktop or on mobile and type hashtag Monday, and then a list of different hashtags will populate there, allowing you to get a couple of different ideas and really research which one is going to be the best for you and your brand. Now let's talk about how to find the right hashtags. We've talked a little bit about the different kinds of hashtags, and it probably feels a little overwhelming if you're not super familiar with Instagram hashtags. So what I want you to do when you're thinking about how to find the right hashtags is to think small, niche down, connect with your personal or brand culture. And by that, I mean, look inward to the brand culture that you have established and really try to connect with your heart there so that you can find hashtags that are going to speak to your audience and make them feel inspired and want to use those hashtags too. And look to your competitors. So there are 4 methods of finding the right hashtags. These methods include your audience, your competitors, industry leaders, and related hashtags. When it comes to finding hashtags through your audience method, you can find out what hashtags your audience are using and see which ones fit the content that you're going to be publishing. And to do that, all you need to do is find the people who are following you through your Instagram profile, click on their profile, and then go directly to some of their posts and check out the hashtags that they're using. If you see a couple that really speak to you, copy and paste them into a notepad, a Word doc, an Excel sheet, and begin collecting some of those hashtags. Another thing that you can do is look at your competitors. The same methodology that you use when it comes to finding them via your audience, you're going to use when it comes to your competitors. So if you did like a SWOT analysis or a business plan, you probably have a set of competitors that are within your industry. Go find them on Instagram, look at their Instagram profiles, and see what hashtags they are using. Are they similar to yours? Are they better engaging than your hashtags currently? How can you, utilize those hashtags if they're not branded hashtags? The other method that we're going to talk about is the industry leaders. You know that these people are big, huge celebrities or influencers, and these are people that you probably follow just already. These people have a well-established targeted audience. Now, if you're following influencers who aren't within your industry, make sure you go and find those celebrity influencers who are within your industry and begin looking at their posts and studying them a little bit more. Look for hashtags that aren't related to campaigns and are directly related to the content and the message that they are creating. Another thing in the last method are related hashtag searches. You can type in a hashtag to see what comes up within the search bar on mobile as well as on desktop. These related hashtags are great tags to try out and test engagement on. This is something I love teaching my students about. Not only is this a great method for researching hashtags, but you can also use it to do some influencer research as well. So let's talk a little bit about what to do once you've selected your hashtags. There are 3 different points that I want to make sure we touch upon, and that would be organize, test, and optimize. Organizing your hashtags is going to seriously save your life so that when you create content, you're not just going directly to every single post humanly possible and bringing it all together when you're creating your content. You actually have a bank of hashtags that you can go and pull from. There are a lot of different kinds of businesses out there like Hashtag Society and G Social who are really great and pull a whole bank of hashtags together for you and have this amazing system. But what I've noticed is that everyone else is using some of those hashtags too. And I needed hashtags that were really focused on my business and what I had to offer. So while I don't want to suggest you relying on those kinds of businesses exclusively, I do want to suggest looking into those and seeing how they could benefit your hashtag strategy and what hashtags you might be able to pull and place into your collection document. Organization is key, like I said, and there are many ways in which you can actually organize all of your hashtags. I prefer to use Excel, and I create columns that are specific to each and every single different topic I might be discussing. I also do that for all of my clients and have like 1,000 different tabs on an Excel spreadsheet that categorize each different client's hashtag sets. And then I just research those and make sure that each hashtag is working. And then I'll put in like little data notes about this hashtag had 1,000 impressions this week. This hashtag had 5 impressions. Let's get rid of it, and so on. There are other methods that you can do this. I love suggesting Evernote. It's a really great app that syncs with every single computer system out there, as well as your phone. And if you are a Mac person or an Apple person, you can use the Apple Notes and it'll sync to all of your Apple products as well. Now, moving on to testing. I tell my students all this time, and I really, really harp on it because testing is important. You're not going to know what truly works best if you don't test out the hashtags. So what I suggest doing is pull together the hashtags you want to use, put them in your post. And if you have something like Later or Sprout Social, you can analyze how well each hashtag is doing. You can also go to your native platform insights in Instagram's app and review some of those hashtags, as well as what posts pulled up and were the most successful that week. Then you can take all of the hashtags used in those successful posts and analyze it a little bit more. It probably sounds like it's a lot of work, but it's really not. It's going to take 10, 20, 30 minutes of your time each week in order to analyze all of your hashtags that you've already put time into to collect. Now, there are also different ways to test out your hashtags aside from which ones are working best, and that is related to the placement of your hashtags. Test out putting hashtags in your bio, test out hashtags in your stories, hashtags in your comments versus your caption, or your caption versus your comments. See what works best for you and your audience. Lastly, we need to make sure that you are optimizing all of your hashtags. As I mentioned within the test section and organize, data is so important when it comes to understanding which hashtags actually work. If you review your in-platform analytics constantly, then do more with the ones that work, the ones that are truly working to create higher levels of engagement. Engagement is so key on Instagram. And with Instagram's native analytic tools, Insights keeps some of this data. So if you want to have a prolonged outlook on your data when it comes to your hashtags or anything else as it relates to Instagram, make sure that you're using something like Later or something like Sprout Social. As I've mentioned, those are my 2 favorite topics, essentially. And they can provide you with a robust amount of information when it comes to your Instagram profile and your hashtags. Sprout Social by far is probably one of my favorite tools to use, simply because the number of hashtags that I can test and the number of hashtags I can look at in terms of its data is amazing. So amazing. So I'm going to get down off my Sprout Social platform, and let's talk about other uses for your hashtags. You can use your hashtags in Instagram stories, as I mentioned, hashtags in your bio, hashtag campaigns. Hashtags can be used to try to get into the top results, which are those top 9 posts within each and every single hashtag. And there are also branded hashtags. With your Instagram stories, you can place hashtags in your stories, and it helps increase your stories' visibility. There are also ways that you can hide all of those hashtags so you don't have like a long list of hashtags going on in your post. All you need to do is use the little color picker on the Instagram story text area, and you can move that color picker around to find a background color that'll help blend those hashtags into the background while still allowing you to have a focus on the image or the content that you're sharing in your Instagram story. It's fantastic. I love doing it when I don't want people to see the 10, 15 hashtags that I added to my Instagram story. There are also the option to try to find hashtags that can put you into the top results. So when you're focused on optimizing and understanding the data surrounding your hashtags, like we talked about in the slide before, you can really begin finding a way to get into the top results which will increase your visibility and increase your fellowship and your engagement, and it'll be really great for your profile. So in order to get to the top results though, let's do a little bit of research. You can go into the top results on a certain hashtag, look at those top 9 posts. What hashtags are they using? What content are they talking about? How are they speaking to their audience, and how can you emulate that? Next, you can look into your bio. A lot of people are kind of sometimes against using hashtags in your bio, but I really want to recommend that you try a hashtag or 2 in your bio, even your branded ones. What I love so much about this feature is that it makes your bio even more functional. You can use hashtags for everything from promoting your Instagram community, highlighting your branded content, your products, and announcing any Instagram campaigns you might be running. All you have to do is use a hashtag, and it will automatically become a clickable link that leads visitors to that hashtag. So if you have a branded hashtag, this is a really great way to incorporate that into your profile continuously. That brings us to branded hashtags. You can use your branded hashtag as a means to create a community on Instagram, track your users' use of your product, and really begin to have a more branded house name presence when you have a branded hashtag that you're using throughout your entire profile. Lastly, you can use hashtag campaigns. Use your branded hashtag as a means to create a community on Instagram or track your users' use of product. Again, it's similar to a branded hashtag, but what I really love about the hashtag campaigns is that it's a great way to track and test one campaign against another. So if you are a shoe company and you want to test a campaign against high-heeled shoes or sneakers, then you're really able to see which level of engagement each shoe gets and which hashtag campaign did the best based on your current audience. Maybe you have more high-heeled users, then that might inform your strategy overall to start utilizing more heels in your Instagram stories or in your Instagram newsfeed posts. We're going to go over a best practices overview really quick. I know we're running out of time. So one thing I want to just give you some information on: your time of use. Use hashtags as often as possible. Don't be spammy about it though, because Instagram will catch on to that and then start to ding your profile and you'll see lower levels of engagements. So be intentional. That brings us to the second point. Use hashtags that speak to you, your audience, your content, and really put intention behind the hashtags that you choose. Don't just use hashtag quote of the day if it has nothing to do with the post that you're posting. The number of hashtags. This is a huge controversy out in the Instagram world. It's still recommended you use 15 to 30 hashtags, but only if they are relevant. Sprout Social did a hashtag research presentation a while ago where they determined the number of hashtags according to their research. The optimal number was 9. So maybe try using only 9 in your profile or in your Instagram posts. Next is visibility. Hashtags can be visible or hidden. It just depends on how skilled you are in hiding and picking colors on your Instagram stories, or if you're going to hide them in the comments, or if you're going to hide that, or if you're just going to be like, you know what, whatever, I'm going to put it in the caption because it's part of the caption. Next, best time to post. In order to determine that, you need to look at your analytics. There is no set rule that 4 o'clock on a Tuesday is the best time to post for everybody. If you're reading an article that says the best time to post is blah, 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 make sure that you back that up with your own research, because your audience engages with your stuff based on either the schedule that you set with them or how they actually truly engage organically. To sum it up, using hashtags makes your profile discoverable. You don't need 30 hashtags in every single post. You can use up to 30, but try and see which number works best for you. Study your competitors and top influencers and your users to find the best hashtags. Make sure your hashtags are relevant to your brand or whatever you might be posting. Use trending hashtags and then tie them back to your company. Don't use trending hashtags if they have nothing to do with your company though. If you're just looking for exposure, that would be the spammy rule. Don't be spammy. Also, familiarize yourself with Instagram and any kind of lingo and evergreen topics that might work for your profile. And then look to your data and analytics for your best hashtags and visibility. I highly recommend trying Sprout Social. I can't promote that. I am not paid to promote Sprout Social. I just love it that much. I think that it is a fantastic tool, and any tool that allows you to analyze your hashtags more is wonderful. I'll leave you with this quote. The problem with your hashtags lies within your intentions. If you are someone who is using hashtags on a regular basis and they're just not working, look to the intention you are setting with your hashtags. If you would like to connect with me more, I'll be engaging in the group here throughout the day, and you can also find me online, motherofmarketing.co/igmaster. You can find me on Instagram through Mother of Marketing and Sarah Allison Potter, which is where you'll find Your Color is Red, one of the other businesses I've founded. And you can find me on Twitter, Sarah Al Potter. I look forward to speaking with you guys a lot more over the next few days. And thank you so much for having me.